Hi everybody, and long time no see. Last time I did a video was our surprise pregnancy announcement. So I wanted to do an update video on my pregnancy. Currently I am 15 weeks pregnant. So I wanted to talk about our first trimester. So this will be basically just talking about when I first got pregnant, what that was all like, and then will also be, if you haven't noticed from the title, I had a little bit of a scare, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit as well. But I wanted to share it because when it happened to me, I could not find a whole bunch of information on it, and I wanted to hear from other moms who had gone through it, and specifically some positive stories, some positive outcomes. And so far, I think my story is pretty positive. I'm still pregnant. I actually had an appointment last week, my 15-week appointment, and the baby was looking good. Like the heartbeat was good, the baby was wiggling all over the place, and we officially find out the gender in 1 month. So I'm very excited about that. Let's start from the beginning. And actually, we may have to start from an even further beginning for a little bit of backstory. I never actually shared this on my channel when it was happening, but sadly Holt and I actually got pregnant back in December of 2017, and we ended up miscarrying that baby in late January when I was about 6.5 weeks pregnant. It will make sense why I'm saying this for reference to what happened to me with this pregnancy. You have a boo-boo? Currently, right now, I am carrying my 3rd pregnancy. With my 2nd pregnancy, from the get-go, it didn't feel completely right. It didn't feel like how it was with Eliza. I didn't have a ton of symptoms. And then within 1 week of finding out I was pregnant, I started spotting. I wasn't scared at first. I thought, oh, well, you know, I had a little tiny bit of spotting with her. I thought it may be implantation bleeding since it was so early on in the pregnancy. But as the week went on, it just didn't really stop. I was having spotting every single day and accompanied with a little bit of cramping here and there. It wasn't painful. I just thought it was growing cramps because, you know, cramps are fairly normal with pregnancy until it gets really, really painful. You're gonna have to be quiet with those pretzels, okay? Can you say shh, shh, shh? When I was around 6 weeks pregnant, it had picked up a little bit, and it had been pretty consistent the whole week. And I thought, well, this probably isn't super normal. I'm gonna go ahead and call my doctor and see what they think. And to be honest, I was shocked and really sad when they told me, they were like, hey, if you can come in right now, we would love to get you in for an ultrasound. And I knew, I was like, oh, that's bad news, because usually they wait to see you till 8 weeks or 10 weeks. And if they wanted me to come in immediately, I was like, oh, this is not good. This is not good. Miraculously, they found a heartbeat. Baby looks good. There is a small subchorionic hemorrhage happening really close to the baby where the baby implanted. They said bleeding is normal with a lot of pregnancies, like up to 40% of pregnancies you bleed in the first trimester, and I had never heard that before. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna go into it confidently. At this point, I had not told I had not told anyone about the pregnancy besides Beth. Once I got that ultrasound done, I thought, I'm gonna call my mom and just let her know, because I was trying to like make a surprise about it. I was gonna keep it a secret, but because the pregnancy was kind of going weird with the subchorionic hemorrhage, I wanted my mom to be praying for me, basically. So that was 6 weeks 1 day. 2 days later, I woke up with bad cramps, and I was like, oh no. We may have to do this in shifts. Little one is not feeling very good today. She was up a lot of the night, and she's not like that ever. Pause and continue later. What would you like?
Yes.
Pause for playtime. And continue. So I woke up with really bad cramps. I went into the bathroom, and it was a lot more bleeding. And I just kind of knew in that moment, I was like, this isn't normal. This is bad cramps. Like, I know this is probably a miscarriage. Would you like to play with this? Sorry, this is such a long story about this one. I promise I will get to my current pregnancy. I called for Holt. I said, Holt, please go get me a pad. I think I need to go to the doctor. I actually ended up passing out on the toilet. I don't know if it was shock or blood or pain, but when Holt came back to the bathroom with the supplies, I was face down into the bathtub, and that freaked him out. All I remember is him saying, Ashley, 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 and him like picking me up out of the tub. I don't know how long, I'm sure it was like 5 seconds. At that point we went to the ER. It was such bad pain. I remember telling them, I was like, this feels like labor. And I can say that because I've had labor pains with her. I've had contractions. I know what they feel like, and this legit felt like that. So I was like begging them for medicine. I was like, please, please, like somebody get me something for this. So they ended up giving me morphine, and that was a really long, terrible day where we, you know, it took like 3 or 4 hours to even get an ultrasound. When we went to the ultrasound, they wouldn't let anybody go with me, which I thought was ridiculous. Like, Holt made this baby with me. Like, why can't he be in there to support his wife? Like, that killed me that they made me go in there alone. And of course they didn't find a heartbeat, and I ended up getting a same-day DNC. Okay. So that was back in January. This is one thing I do want to say for other women who have gone through similar things. One thing that was so... One of the hardest things for me was jealousy after that. Finding out other people were pregnant. Oh my, that was a wet one. Finding out other people were pregnant really put me down, and I hated that about myself. I hated the jealousy aspect of it, and I just wanted to be pregnant again so fast, and I felt cheated. I was like, oh, I had this. Like, our due date was in September. I had wanted a September baby. I was mad, and I just felt like, woe is me, unfair. The doctor told us, after your first period, after your DNC, you are free to try again. So we actually got pregnant again very quickly. We got pregnant the very next cycle. And from the beginning of this pregnancy, it has been totally different. I had all my symptoms. I can tell I'm pregnant, like from my breasts that start feeling like fuller and kind of painful. I just felt pregnant, like I kind of knew. And I tested really early, and every time I've been able to test almost a full week early, about 5-6 days early, and get a positive, although it's always very faint, but still, that's pretty awesome. First couple weeks of pregnancy, I always get pretty nauseous feeling. I have a lot of food aversions, and my nose is super sensitive to smells. And I did not cook for months. I couldn't stand the smell of the fridge, the trash, anything, even diaper changes. The smells get me bad. I'm going to fast forward now to the scary, scary moment of this pregnancy, and that was at 9 weeks. I thought I was in the clear, and I know that's still first trimester and there's always risks, but my goal for this pregnancy was just to get past that 6.5 week mark, and then I could like rest easy. The chances of having a miscarriage after a miscarriage are so rare. I was like, it can't happen to me. So once I hit past that 6.5 week mark, I felt really, really good. Felt really confident. So fast forward to 9.5 weeks pregnant. I'm laying down on the couch. We've already put Eliza to bed for the night, and I feel a little bit of discharge. You know, discharge is normal for pregnancy, but I was like, I should probably go to the bathroom and clean myself up. And I get up to stand up, and I feel like my bladder release. And I thought for a second, I was like, oh my gosh, and I even said this to Holt. I was like, I think I'm peeing myself. And I hold myself in as I waddle to the bathroom. I was like, oh my gosh, my bladder just released. And that's when I got almost to the bathroom, I looked down. I forgot to say, like, this part is pretty graphic, so if you don't want to hear any graphic stories, you probably should fast forward this part. I looked down, and my hands are just soaked in blood. And then I looked down, and see, I had capri pants on and underwear, and it's blood just soaked like down to my knees. And then I look back, and there's a trail of blood to the bathroom. And at that moment, I tell Holt, I'm like, I can't believe I'm miscarrying. I am having a miscarriage. We're both kind of frantic at this point because I don't really know, but I know there's a lot of blood. No, honey. Hey, mommy got you some new books out. Can you go look at those books? I just start like kind of panicking and I don't know even what to do. Like, I know I should probably call the doctor. I know I should call somebody, but I'm just kind of standing in there. I don't even have my phone. So I'm like, Holt, get my phone. First thing I do is call my mom and I say, Mom, I'm miscarrying. Please come right away. Because I knew we'd have to have somebody to watch Eliza, that I'd have to go to the doctor. The next thing I do is call Beth, actually. Beth is a nurse and I just called her. She knew about my previous miscarriage and I just called her and I was in hysterics crying. And I was like, please pray. I think I'm having a miscarriage. I'm bleeding so much. Beth was trying to ask me like questions and stuff and I was just trying to get off the phone. And in hindsight, Beth had told me, you know, she had been texting Holt asking for my symptoms and stuff. And she kept on asking like, is she in pain? Is she cramping? And he was like, no. Well, Beth knew more than what we did, but back to the story. At this point, I feel something pass. And this freaked me out the most. I started panicking. I told Holt, I feel something. My nightmare was to pass a baby at home. I knew I was 9.5 weeks. And I was scared that that was what it was. Go get it. Go get it. Go get your milk. I still even had my pants on. I was scared to look. I was just so scared to look. And I told Holt at this point, I was like, I need a change of clothes and a pad. So he runs upstairs to do that. And in the meantime, I get brave enough to take my pants down. And that's when like I felt this big, huge, like that big of a size. And it was perfectly like sack-like. It like fell out into my hands. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's the baby. And I, at this point, was like wailing. I'd never heard myself make those noises. It was like animal noises. I just was so distraught because in my mind, I was holding my baby. Like I thought that that was the full sack. Like I had just passed the baby. And Holt, when he got back down, he just saw me like bawling, holding what we thought was our baby. And he freaked out at that point. He ended up grabbing the blood and running it out of the room and coming back in, and we just cried together. At that point, I tried to put myself back together. I was like, okay, I gotta change. I have to go to the hospital. I told Holt, I was like, I want to bring that to the hospital. I want them to be able to do testing on it to see like what's going on. Because in my mind too, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm having a second miscarriage. Like what's going on with my body? What's wrong? And I wanted to see if something was wrong with the baby. Holt puts it in a little bag. I finally called the hospital. On the way to the hospital, I'm still feeling these gushes and I start freaking out now for myself. I thought, oh my gosh, I could probably hemorrhage. Like, what if I'm hemorrhaging? This could be really dangerous. So I'm like hyperventilating and freaking out. Holt's mom and stepdad come to watch Eliza, who's sleeping, and my mom goes with me to the hospital with Holt. And we get checked in. It's the same like ER triage that I was at just a few months prior. They kept on asking me, are you in any pain? Are you in any pain? And I was saying, no, that's what's weird. I'm not cramping at all. Is that because I already passed the baby? Like I already had the miscarriage. And they were like, we don't know, we don't know. A really cool moment during all of this was when my godmother had come into the hospital and she said on the way over, she had felt God like telling her like, pray as if the baby's still here. Like pray for the baby. Don't pray for Ashley because she's going through a miscarriage. Like pray for the baby. And when she got there, she like took my hands and she prayed for the baby as if it was still inside me. And I remember like feeling a little bit annoyed by that at that point because I was so distraught and I couldn't see anything else. That I was just like, why were you saying those things? Like, the baby's not in me. The baby's in the bag. But fast forward to like 3 hours later. They wheel me down that same hallway that I had gone to months before, and again, Holt didn't get to come with me. And I had zero hope at this point. I really did. I remember talking with my mom and Holt and my godmother during those hours of waiting, just thinking like, wow, I cannot believe like I'm having another one. Like I was like, what if I never get to have any more kids? You know, you're thinking about all the worst case things. You're so sad. And I was just having a pity party for myself, really. And I was like, what if, I mean, I'm so thankful for Eliza. Thank God we have her, because what if I could never have another? So they wheel me down to the ultrasound. I even told the ultrasound lady, I was like, I am very familiar with this. Like this same thing just happened like 3 months ago. The ultrasound people are not allowed to tell you anything. They're supposed to just do the ultrasound. They don't let you see the monitor. It's faced away from you, and they have to just relay all their information to the doctor, who the doctor talks to you later. Within just like 20 seconds, the lady said, I'm not supposed to show you this, but, and she flips the computer over to where I can see it. And right there on the screen was a wiggly, normal baby inside me. I was in shock. Utter shock. I just kept on saying like, no way, that baby is in there, that baby's okay. The heartbeat was good. It was really, really high, and I don't know if that was because I was in distress for so long, but the baby's heart rate was like in the 170s or something, and I just bawled with happiness. And for the 10 minutes or so that she was taking all of her pictures and videos, like I just cried with happiness and was like just praising God, like thank you Lord, like how the heck has this happened? I also had like a newfound fear come over me once I was in there, like, oh my gosh, I could still lose this baby, like the baby's still there, but how could that happen and the baby still be there? That was mind-blowing to me. It was really, really exciting being wheeled back down with good news this time, because keep in mind, like my mom, Holt, my godmother, none of them knew that the baby was alive at this point. So I got to tell them the good news, and we all just like cheered, and oh, it was just such a good time. It was one of the best moments of my life. It was like my worst moments and best moments were trapped into this like 6-hour period. I was so drained by the end of it. We ended up getting dispatched like at like 3 o'clock in the morning or something. It was really, really late. They again told me, guess what? It's a subchorionic hemorrhage. And those words I had heard before with the previous miscarriage. The doctor, all he said was... The doctor, all he said was, take it easy and pelvic rest. They ended up still sending the big, huge blood clot. Send that to pathology. I really want to know, because I was like, what if I passed a twin? So they did that. I put myself on bed rest. The next 3 days I had babysitters lined up to help me with Eliza. I stayed in bed for 3 days straight just to get up to take a shower and to get up to go to the bathroom. And all I did was scour the internet for stories of women who had had these things happen to them. If you had had a previous DNC, your chances of this increase. So I don't know if that played into it, but I had a huge blood clot form in my body. Pathology came back a couple weeks later saying it was just a blood clot. It was just blood. They're called subchorionic hematomas. And they can vary in size. Some women have huge ones, but mine was, you know, it was a little bit bigger than egg sized. Specifically, it happens a lot in the 9th or 10th week when your placenta is developing and digging in deeper into the walls of your uterine lining. And if it digs in and irritates something, a blood can pool and congeal, I guess. And my body decided to push it out. A lot of times your body will just reabsorb, and women will just experience some light bleeding throughout their first trimester and it goes away, or their body reabsorbs a big huge clot. My body dispelled of it in a very like graphic and violent way. And so women who've also had this happen, they call it their big bleed. And some women unfortunately have big bleeds several times, not once, but twice, 3 times sometimes. Luckily, thank God, I have not had any more big bleeds like that. You can read stories online. This happens to more women than you would think. And I read a lot of happy stories, and I read some sad stories too. Because depending on how big the hematomas are, sometimes they can push the baby or dislodge the baby from being connected to the placenta. Or that they can dislodge the placenta and then the baby dies in the womb, and then you end up miscarrying. I think my risks of that are down, but I did get another ultrasound done. It was like a week after this big bleed, and they told me that there was still a clot in there and a subchorionic hemorrhage. So I've been dealing with that this whole time, just thinking in the back of my mind, oh, it could still be there, it could still be there. I haven't had an ultrasound since. I get another one done at 20 weeks for my gender ultrasound. But this kind of gave me more fear. I was even second guessing even announcing at 12 weeks when you're typically like in your safe zone. I was so scared of like it happening again. You know, I feel confident in this pregnancy, and I think that this baby is supposed to be here. So I pray for the baby, and I hope that others will as well. I really want this little one, and I think it's just gonna have a really crazy story that mommy gets to tell this new baby about how we got it here. Anyways, I hope that can give other women who have had subchorionic hemorrhages, I hope that can give them some hope. I have a newfound respect for women who go through miscarriages and who go through difficult high-risk pregnancies, because it's just so hard. I'm feeling a lot better every week that goes by. I feel more and more confident and more like I can enjoy the pregnancy. But anyways, that's my pregnancy update for my first trimester. I hope that when I do another update for my second trimester, that is very uneventful. I can just say like the symptoms or like how much weight I've gained. By the way, I have gained 11 pounds already. I'm 15 weeks. I gained 40 pounds total with her, and I was hoping to gain less than that, and now I'm a little nervous that it's gonna get up there again. But anyways, that's my update. I'm gonna show my belly now. But so there's belly. So it's a little bit of a bump. It's definitely fuller right in here. And the baby is right on this side. And I haven't been able to feel any kicks yet, but it's gonna be coming up very soon. I feel lots of stretching and lots of like growing pains essentially. Just exciting. I'm so glad to be pregnant, and I pray that we will give birth to a healthy baby. So that is it. Eliza, would you like to say bye? Say bye-bye. Say, I can't wait to be a big sister. Can't wait to figure out if it's gonna be a baby sister or baby brother. Say yeah. Say bye-bye.